live stream is preparing itself right now. And
Oh,
so,
wait, do we want to do our backgrounds?
oh, I find it on my side, it always looks ridiculous. I just look like I half ahead. So,
Oh, wait, do we want to do our backgrounds? Oh, we're already live.
well, yeah. I find it on my side, it always looks ridiculous. I just look like I half ahead. So, that's a good theme.
Oh, we're already live. Okay.
Yeah. Let me turn down the volume.
Are we not, are we not live? We are live right now.
A good theme. I'm just going to turn off. Let me turn down. Okay, we are
Hey,
live right
everybody.
now, and I think we might even be live on Facebook too. Let's just see if it works. Welcome everybody who might be tuning in. This is Break the Trance. We're just seeing if we can. I'm not really.
Simultaneously stream to you, Facebook would be the
Yeah,
goal.
it looks like there's a link on Facebook, but it doesn't look live. I'm looking at it right now. I think you have
All
to
right.
stream to Facebook, which we'll do next time.
Yeah.
Okay, so welcome. Break the Trance is an occasional and fun podcast where we rave about various issues in hypnosis, hypnotherapy, social issues, and occasionally we get into politics. Today we're talking about spectacle versus reality. All of us, Shakespeare famously said, all the world's a stage, meaning he kind of said, whether you like it or not, you're in a show. And which means kind of the way you present yourself, sometimes who you think you are, sometimes who you say you are, is a presentation of some kind. And famously, it's funny, all these words bleed into therapy. The way people present themselves in therapy, so people say like, I'm the kind of person who has anxiety, I'm the kind of person who's depressed, I'm the kind of person who's very confident or whatever, is often in therapy, there's sort of an axiom that the story or the presentation is never quite true. I don't know if you come across that, but the reason for that is kind of obvious. If you knew exactly who you were, if you knew exactly what your problem was, you wouldn't necessarily be in therapy. You wouldn't need. I mean, that's kind of wrong too, because you might know, oh yeah, I really have anxiety, and that would be an accurate, truthful thing. So if you really knew who you were, you wouldn't necessarily need help, but we all need help. We all are in a denial a little bit. We're all a little bit wrong about who we are. We all present in ways that are not always accurate. And having the vulnerability to find out about yourself can be helpful, useful, and a really important part of therapy.
Yes, you're right, Albert. Knowing thyself is a path to peace, inner peace, wellness, sleeping well at night, feeling good about who you are, that authentic self-esteem, which is how do I feel about myself when I'm not hoping other people will put a heart on it online, but I'm just alone in my house by myself. How do I feel about who I am? This is often different than how we present. This idea of this confident person you mentioned. I'm so confident and I think I'm great and blah, blah, blah. And behind closed doors, that person really struggles with feeling worthless on the inside. And there's that inner worthless feeling is actually what fuels the external spectacle of look at how great I am, look at how great I am. In fact, when we talk about narcissists, which everybody loves to talk about narcissists, supposedly they make up less than 10% of the population, but since everybody knows 50 of them and we've all of our exes are narcissists, maybe, but let's just pretend there's some reality of being a narcissist. That is the psychological makeup of a narcissist. It's a child who was made to feel so worthless, and the pain of that created I must rebel against the worthlessness that I'm being told I am by proving how amazing I am. But that inner worthlessness never goes away. And that's why it's this sick spiral that's so toxic, because it's coming from a very sick place.
We might ask, I think you're onto something here, is that we might ask, how does one, what is the path to healing? If somebody has, which all of us, not all of us, I mean, a lot of us may have that element of feelings of worthlessness or lack of confidence or belief in ourselves, and it is, and we suddenly recognize, hey, I'm doing these crazy things, I'm acting out, I'm telling somebody I'm a big deal, ultimately because I feel worthless, not because I am a big deal. Um, and also there's a dynamic there. Instead of proving that I'm doing something significant or doing something significant, I act like I'm doing something significant, um, like drive, let's say, a big fancy car or something like that, instead of actually doing something significant. What's the journey to a better place?
Well, what's the definition of something significant? Because that needs to be broken down as well. So when you're talking about the people who drive these big fancy cars, I don't know what the percentage is, but I know that a good number of people driving around Porsches and BMWs, they are in debt. They are making monthly payments. They're in over their head. A lot of people with a flashy lifestyle are in deep financial trouble, and they feel they must maintain this spectacle, this illusion of who they want people to perceive them as. If I don't have this financial success that is indicated by my flashy car and my expensive girlfriend and all the jewelry and shoes that she's wearing to reflect back who I am. I know this guy. I've met many of this guy. I know this girl. I know these people. It's actually so stressful to maintain this spectacle, but the stress of it feels more manageable than the emotional threat of being exposed as not being successful in money or successful in whatever superficial measure of success that to that person is what is something significant. Doing something significant for many people means make a lot of money and show it. That is how I'm significant. And that's the brainwash, that's the trance. That's what we've been enculturated or indoctrinated from a young age. This is what significance is. This is what being successful means. This is what you need to aspire to. And if you don't, you're worthless. So if you haven't and you have to confront, oh my God, what if that makes me worthless? That's unbearable. I need to maintain an illusion. And so I'll go into 20, 40, 100, $200,000 worth of debt just to keep that up. As stressful as that may be, it's a better life if those are my only two options. So the answer to your original question, well, what do we do, is this person I'm describing, this case study, who is quite a lot of people, needs to expand awareness that there are not just two options. There's actually a buffet of options of how to live a life and feel good about yourself. And I'm not going to tell you what those options are. You're going to start to explore for yourself. Well, what might feel better than either of these? What could be something that would be inviting and feel more pleasant for you?
It's interesting that I think you're onto something in so many ways. One is that we all do this, or I don't say we all do it, but I caught myself. Like, for example, we all play the theater of I'm really busy. I don't have time for you right now. That's one of the plays that we all play. Another one is yeah, I'm doing some like the stuff I'm doing is so important. I can't talk to you right now. Or another one is uh, of course, is social media, that we're all on Instagram having partying nonstop, and sometimes you're at a party which actually might be kind of boring, and then you see these people kind of posing, taking pictures, and you can't blame them. Like, maybe it's a kind of a nice party, but then they take a photograph where they're having the wildest time, but they're not having the wildest time. They're not actually exuberant. They're not actually, and they create this illusion. Now
And let's go one layer deeper though. Hold on, because then when who was at that party and I knew that it was lame, the next day when I see that post, my psyche is like, man, that was a good time. Maybe
right,
what was wrong with me? Why wasn't I having a good time? Look at the
right.
evidence there. It was fun.
And not only that, the person who's sort of like the neutral observer would go, God, some of these people are just living these incredible lives where it's nonstop moments of extreme jubilance and adventure. And
Jubilance.
Well, me, here I am just looking at the photo. I'm the one that's having to stare at the photo. And that dynamic feeds what you just described earlier, which is either I am projecting I'm spectacular, eh, or I am feeling deeply loser-like and weak. And those are the only two roles I live. I'm great
Yes.
or I'm a loser. And those are
Yes.
the only two roles that are available. And I think you're right that the first part of that is recognizing maybe there's other roles. Maybe there's other roles. Like, in fact, one thing learned in myself is that you can have points in your life where you are a loser. It's okay to embrace it. Like, you try to do something, it didn't work. It was a bad idea. In that moment, you're kind of a loser. But we learn from our mistakes, and those things are good. And when you accept that, like I kind of messed up in that plan, then you learn and you improve, and you're more likely to be successful the next time around. So embracing your loserness is not so bad.
That's such a harsh word.
Yeah,
Uh,
I know.
I don't know about, I don't want to say that anybody is a loser,
Well,
right?
we know where this comes from, without getting too much into it, is that the president of the United States divides the world into winners and losers. I mean, it's part of American culture right now that there's winners and losers, and there's nothing in between.
If you want to follow the logic of a senile old psychopath, you can.
Oh, a lot of people do.
I know, and that's unfortunate. So on that topic, the
Right.
nature of spectacle. This is kind of what sparked us into this more universal, but just some interesting news about what the president of the United States, if we still give him that title. I mean, technically it's correct, but emotionally it hurts me to call someone like this by such a honorable title that is such a mismatch there. But go ahead, Albert, tell us what this man is up to now.
It is quite amazing that America's 250th anniversary is happening, which I think for every American is kind of exciting and a big deal. And even people outside of America might get a bit excited about it too. However, the way it is being celebrated is it's being celebrated. First of all, there's been this conflation of you've got America's 250th birthday, which is for America, and then you have it being merged with Trump's birthday, which is straight out of something. I don't think America's ever done this before. It's straight out of
Has not. That is
North Korea.
correct.
It is something that dictators do. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. Dictators are like, it's the dictator's birthday. It is our job to celebrate, to be in that story, that's the big deal. And as part of this big deal, there's a few, there are, of course, many, there's supposed to be a concert, which actually I think has not happened or is not going to happen. But they are having this very strange thing, which is a giant UFC fight on the White House lawn. And this is incredible for a number of reasons.
Let's list them.
Okay, where to begin? First of all, where is it like a historical kind of idea,
Unprecedented. No, unprecedented.
right? That we celebrate America's birthdays with cage matches of men fighting in, let's say nothing actually. Look, on some level, I have respect for mixed martial arts.
Absolutely.
This is not a critique of mixed martial arts, but I don't think that mixed martial arts is a historical representation of America's history. One. Two,
Clearly not.
there will be blood. This is supposed to be a family event, and the job of these fighters, the UFC, is to sort of fight for them for their lives. And there's usually blood. There's usually blood in a good fight. There's going to be blood. It's going to be on the mats. It does not seem appropriate for a family event for watching people bloody each other. But now this goes naturally to the next point. What does this remind everybody like? This is the spectacle of gladiator type fights, in that the Romans did. As I understand, though I'm not an expert on Roman history, that as the Roman Empire began to fall, it was in decline, that they found out it was very entertaining to put desperate people in cages together or arenas together to fight for their lives. You could see in a way why that would be riveting. I'm not going to say entertainment, but it's riveting. I'm sorry, I would be interested in to know what's going to happen.
You'd go to a gladiator match where
I
people fight to
wouldn't
the death?
I wouldn't go, but I would be like, well, I would be like, what's going to happen next? Like, when people fighting for their lives is, I gotta say, interesting. I don't think it's good entertainment. I don't think it's healthy for a society. I don't think it's a good idea to put that show on, but I
I
see
don't even
why.
want to see roosters do it,
Right,
or dogs, let alone human beings. But
right.
let's not go too far because, obviously UFC fighters are not literally fighting to the death.
But
Okay, but
actually, the theater of it is fighting to the death, though they're
it's
not.
a theater to bring forward this primal violence.
Yes,
However, that's also wrong because the degree of discipline that fighters have is actually off the charts. And this is where we start to get into the interesting, why would Donald Trump, who's celebrating his 80th birthday. Now, just that, I want to just pause, right? We gotta, no matter what you feel, believe, if your grandpa is turning 80, that's a birthday where you're like, all right, he's almost done. We want to start thinking about taking the keys away. Should he be driving? We'll have a nice party, but hey, look, grandpa's 80 now. Like, we gotta, even if he's in the best possible health, 80 is a significant number that says the decline is inevitable. Okay? Especially with the history we're looking at. But 80-year-old man says, I want to celebrate myself. I'm the president of the United States. I want taxpayers to transform the White House, the architectural symbol of the entire nation. Let's transform the grounds into a fighting arena on their dollar so that I can celebrate being 80 years old by merging or associating my identity with that of very fit, virile, strong, macho men. That is pure spectacle.
exactly.
Associate this weak old man with these strong young fighters, and I can hide behind that and try to look, I'm like that. No, you're not like that. No, you're not.
No,
You're pooping your pants and falling asleep, and we need to take the keys away, and you got to go.
exactly. This isn't. This is a clear example of the difference between spectacle and reality. Trump lately, exactly, has been pooping his pants, falling asleep, and then not only that, in direct confrontation is quite the chicken. Like, for example, recently when he did that interview with Meet the Press, he literally like had a tantrum and ran out of the room. He is not really a man.
Even when he was young, if he were ever at any point in his life a brave, strong, young fighter, he wouldn't have dodged the draft. You think
Five
UFC
times.
fighters are men who would dodge the draft?
Yeah.
No. They'd be like,
No.
I'm going to be a Navy SEAL. If I'm going to join the Army, then I'm going to be a Ranger.
Yeah. So what we're saying is there's this huge disconnect between the reality, which is that Trump is, look, there's nothing wrong with being 80 and not being like 80-year-olds don't have to fight in cage matches, but but that's not who he is. He's also not brave. He's not historically brave, and he's not really historically manly. He's more of a tantrum-based baby character than he is a man. And
Tantrum-based baby character. I love that description.
so look, you can be whatever you want, but by creating this spectacle is as an example of, you would say to somebody in therapy, you might ask if they are willing to be vulnerable and find out about themselves. Is this really who you are? Are you really a cage match fighting gladiator? I don't think so. You fell asleep, at the Knicks game. Are you really a confident, fearless leader? No. You just play one on TV. And I think the politics of it is that it leads to this other factor, which is international bullying. And that even emanates from this sort of personality dysfunction, which is because he's not actually brave, he's not actually courageous, he doesn't know himself, which I actually think, by definition, like an MMA fighter actually has to know themselves. They have to know what they do well, where their vulnerabilities are. They discover this probably by, by difficulty. They lose or they have setbacks, and they realize that this is where I need to work. This
And it is very much a mental sport.
right. It's more
Because you
mental.
get I've worked with fighters in
Oh
like
yeah,
peak performance hypnosis, and you get into that space and that other fighter looks you in the eye, and that one look can determine the whole, that one look can just put you off center so much you can't be your best. There's that somebody looks at you like, I'm fucking coming for you, and if you think I'm going to give him that look back, but it's not sincere, or you're vulnerable to that, or somehow he's got a beard and your dad who beat you growing up had a beard. It's like so many psychological factors can throw somebody off their game, that even when you're training physically to be your best, and you're in the gym 8 hours a day and that's all you do, you live for this sport, but if your mind isn't sharp and focused and integrated and aligned to be able to perform under all different types of pressure, you're showing up with one hand tied behind your back.
and intriguingly, a big part of this world of mixed martial arts is an element which has no physical component, which is the stare down. Before every major fight, the fighters are brought together and they do this theater. It's completely theater where they
Yes.
stare at each other, and it obviously matters. It doesn't always matter, but obviously matters. Like, you try to win the stare down by simply,
Sure. And on this topic, combining with Trump's famous headshot that he uses as like the official one is this
yeah,
one.
yeah, that's very good. That is
Thank
excellent.
you.
That is, can you do that again? Can anyone see that again? Yeah, that's right. Okay, what does that mean?
It's like a bit scowling, one eyebrow's kind of up, like,
Yeah, don't mess with me. It's also
yeah.
deliberately meant to be intimidating.
It's
Instead of,
deliberately meant to be intimidating. And yeah, not, there's a confusion of strength and power with intimidation. And
right.
that is what is defining the trajectory of what's going on in international politics with this character doing what he's doing.
Yeah. He's given a choice about, are you going to try to create good policy, or are you going to try to bully people with theater? He's
Right.
always choosing bully people with theater, and also literally bully them by dropping bombs in them and sometimes killing them. But yeah, absolutely. And I love that look, because when is this? There's so many unprecedented things. Like, you've often said this, is that we are living in such weird times where the president of the United States puts his face on money and or coins and or the passport,
Unconstitutional.
presenting himself as a bully. Like, it's not even like, nobody said, by the way, you look kind of insane. Like, if your friend put up a Facebook profile picture and they're like, ah,
Well, no, you're really onto something here, because at the time when that photo was taken, right? It wasn't one photographer took one photo and they said, that's the one. This isn't the year 1840 where there's one camera and printing a photo costs, $1 million. It's a digital. He's got millions and millions of photos and a campaign team that helps to choose. Okay, you want to wear this jacket, you want to wear it with this tie, look like this, kind of look like that. You and I would be qualified to be on such teams to say, all right, this is how body language works. This is how micro expressions. We want to trigger in the minds of the masses a certain feeling. And if I were on the campaign team for a politician and they were like, how about this one? I'd be like, well, listen, what
you
is
look
it that
insane.
you're trying to evoke, right? We want to show leadership and strength. And I understand that some sternness is kind of the character here, but there's leadership and strength that's also what's missing. this could be the question. What's missing from that look? That is what's actually missing from our leadership.
I mean, obviously, also there's a huge component of trying too hard. You know, we are talking about gladiators, and there's this interesting example. Caesar in Roman times doesn't have to try hard to show he has power. He just puts his hand up or down because he's Caesar, is implicit power. Trump, you know, could have implicit power in those situations, but instead he's trying too hard. He's showing you, hey, don't think, you know, look at how powerful or overpowering I am, and he's actually demonstrating that, and it has the sort of the opposite effect. People, I mean, actually, I want to say, I want to take that back a little bit. It does have a real effect because he's at the same time like deploying ice and doing real things, which is intimidating people. But
But we're failing to acknowledge that there are millions still somehow, unfortunately, of people who see that look and identify it as, yes, that's a strong leader. Intimidation is strength. There is so much. I'm gonna Mental illness as a phrase here might be a stretch, but I don't know how else to call it. There's a pathology that has been festering for generations because we're a sick society. People are abused by their parents and then they become abusive of their children. There's alcoholism, there's addiction, there's so much sickness and lack of love and lack of feeling safe and cared for, safety and security in the house. Okay, maybe you're got a, roof over your head and food in the fridge. We all Americans do. We have that luck, but there's so much heart illness where so many kids feel unloved and they're being neglected or emotionally abused or psychologically abused, and how that festers, and those are the people who grow up to not have any sense of what strong but loving, firm but kind, virtue and progress oriented positive leadership looks like. So they only see that as weakness because that's what they were told. And then you have this Trump figure who knows how to make his face look like, I'm the dad who's going to tell you what to do and you're going to listen to me. And that's the only parental figure that they've ever had.
it, if I, that's powerful. If I may be wrong, but I believe that that photograph, the one that you so expertly imitated, actually comes from his mugshot when he was convicted, and they forced him into a, because he was arrested in effect and convicted, that they took a mugshot out of him, and that's what he did. He was basically saying, I am not this person, meaning I'm not a felon, and you are all going to pay. You are all going to pay. And what makes it's funny that people just like, what's really interesting about also about spectacle too? When the spectacle wins, so when the spectacle, when Trump is successful at it's all about my birthday, and then we're all trapped in that story and we can't escape it. And so we're all trapped in Trump. Right at that moment, Trump scowled at the camera in the mugshot, and then that became his new identity. I think the actual photograph is not a mugshot, but it looks, we should check. It looks pretty close. And that was where he began his campaign of vengeance, where and now he's like weaponized the DOJ, and he's in all these things where he's created a campaign to destroy all his enemies. It all emanates from him being photographed in this.
Okay, let's do some body language analysis, which is really just like facial expression analysis. Can you enable me to share my screen? I got this photo pulled up, and let's do a breakdown of it.
Yeah, just let me. How do I have to make you a co-host, I believe.
Okay, let's try that. Mm-hmm.
So make co-host. You should be able to do it now then.
All right. Yeah, here we go. All right. I just want to show this one window. You see that?
Okay. Official portrait.
Right. Here we go. Yeah, the official headshot of the United States of America. What is going on here? So we can like zoom out to see the whole thing, but really we want to be zoomed in. All right, we have this tight, compressed lips. Okay, there's very little bottom lip here. So
no
there's some
No vulnerability.
Well, what we're looking at is a slight expression of, we're just looking at the lower half of the face. There's contempt. So contempt is the only universal facial expression that is asymmetrical. So it's
Ah,
softened here,
ah,
but you can see on this one side of his face is slightly raised a little. Can you still see me in the screen as well? Like a contemptuous facial expression can look like this or it can look like this. But whenever one side is going up or out, it's contemptuous. And
ah.
especially with this one lowered brow, that this squinting, staring at you from underneath my brow, that is a predatory look. That is the look of a predator. I'm looking at you from my brow is lowered and my eye gaze is on you.
Right.
And
It's definitely targeting the viewer. You are being targeted by this person. And it's interesting, it never occurred to me that it is weirdly asymmetrical because generally we prize symmetricality in imagery, and it is weirdly asymmetrical, very unusual. And you're right, it's predatory and contemptuous. Uh, totally
yeah,
weird.
the
Now,
asymmetry, can you see what I'm doing here? Here's one side of the face and here's another side of the face. Now, this is almost like a different guy.
right.
There's some kind of softness in that eye, but when we get over here, that is somebody who wants to, that person is out to be a predator, to predate. This person is looking to hunt. This is a hunter. This is a killer. This is a violent person. That's what the facial expression says. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not making a grand claim against him, although I would, but I can make the expression as well, but the expression is communicating that, right? Now, we could say there's not spectacle here because the Epstein files and factual things that have happened, not even questionable, show that this person likes killing. He likes bombing children in Iran, school full of little girls, bomb them, fuck them. That's this guy. Now, it's interesting because we have something else going on over here. Now, I would dare to say there, from a facial analysis perspective, I can see some slight fear. Can you see fear in that?
Yeah. When you cut it that way, yes. So you said that person looks kind of nervous and vulnerable.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you have the, just I'm looking at the eye. If you just look at that eye, you see somebody who looks nervous, vulnerable, maybe a little bit fearful. And then over here is this part of his personality that's developed to say, I will never be vulnerable. I will do anything I have to do from you to really see that if you just look at 20% of me in the right side, you might know something real about me and no one will ever know anything real about me. That's how I would analyze that.
Let me show you something crazy. So
You
this
want the
that's
picture back up?
yeah. So you can
Oh,
leave the official portrait, and I am going to, or I'm going to share now. What is this? I don't know if you see it though. Let me. What is this? Are you seeing the same thing? This is the official mugshot.
okay. Here we go. Wow. I'm seeing the same thing that we're looking at the screen. So this, the left side of the screen is that lowered brow, the right side of the screen, which would be his left side of his face, you see more fear, especially with the downturned. So fear, it can be determined by what's going on with the lower half of the face. Fear, these are universal facial expressions. Fear is the outer corners of the mouth go out.
Mm,
That's a fearful, don't even worry about what's happening up top because it's when we're analyzing facial expressions, it's easier to get confused if you're trying to look at everything all at once. When you know
mm.
what to look for, look bottom half of the face, this is always fearful, some version of that. So it's like he's trying to suppress it. You can see what's happening there on his left side of our screen right. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
it is though it is different, it is not like, isn't it crazy that no one's made a fuss about the fact that Trump's official portrait seems to be based on his mugshot?
but which one came first?
The mugshot came first. because the mugshots from the previous, um, it was
Okay, it was
before the
completed on
election.
in August 24, 2023. That's when the mugshot was taken. And then Trump official headshot, what year? Let's see. Trump has, okay, the 2025 official portrait is what we've been analyzing here.
Now, we might say, this is a face that he just likes to make, but the point is that he would have obviously known that, boy, my official portrait does look a hell of a lot like my mugshot. Like,
Right. Now, he has other official portraits from other years that I'm looking up, and I just Googled this as straightforward as you can, and I can't find it. Or is it this one? Oh, okay. Hold on. Here we go. Let me share my screen again because
yeah, go
this is
ahead.
becoming very interesting from
Yeah, it
a
is
facial
interesting.
analysis perspective. Uh, okay. Now, portrait of president. This was created in 2016. So, ooh, this is good stuff here. Let's see. Can you see that?
Yeah, symmetrical. I mean, it has the same kind of like I take me seriously look. Um,
Yeah, but there's not this intimidation present. There's still more squinting and that lowered brow. You see they call them angry 11s. Looks like there's the number 11 in between his eyebrows.
right.
That is anger.
Hey, I
So
didn't know, but
there's anger on this face, but there's not the expression of contempt. It's not an asymmetry, contemptuous expression. It's an
also,
angry expression.
he is not out to get you in this face. He's
That's
just,
correct. He's just
yeah.
serious. Honestly, I would say I see sadness
Mm,
more than I see the angry. I see some sadness. I do not see that contempt
mm.
present. I don't see out to get you. I don't see a predator in this image.
See, to me, like I had noticed this before, but I just am surprised that it just hasn't been more of an issue that the image that may go on money or on passports or is obviously shown everywhere, sometimes it's at border crossings, is this angry, is this it emanated from his mugshot. And I think that makes sense from his own story, which is that I'm going to, yeah, look at how friendly that one is.
This guy is not the one who's going to be on the money,
No.
which again is unconstitutional. A living president is not supposed to be printed on our currency. Period.
Yeah.
There's no. Come on, and that's where you talk about some dictatorship bullshit. But still, if you're going to do it, he doesn't want the smiling guy. Now, I do want to say, for just analyzing, to acknowledge that the baseline does show that the right side of his face, which is our screen left, does have it's lower
Mm. But
in all of these.
this is a classic, friendly, approachable, and actually appropriate.
Right.
People often forget that, a good percentage of the people looking at this are children, so
Very good point.
this is appropriate for children. He's not threatening. He's like I'm your leader. He's friendly. The current photograph to me is not appropriate for children.
Right. So he went from this to this, and then we ended up with this guy, this scowling motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is going on here, man? This is just wild.
And it is interesting to note that this is the face
Look
that,
at the skin quality. You could airbrush that out. There's filters. They chose to show us how sullen and miscolored. This is skin in very ill health. And it's fascinating because he's not even like a lifelong smoker, is he? He doesn't a cigarette smoker.
no,
You would expect
no,
somebody who'd been chain smoking for 40 years to have skin of this quality. You have to be very unhealthy for your skin to look like this. It is not an age-related thing. My grandmother in her 80s still had lovely skin because she was a healthy person. There's all kinds of sickness. Look at that. Ugh. And this is like, it's not even, it's not like some paparazzi took it. This is official one. He approved this. His whole team approved this.
Yeah.
So what are they doing from a psyops perspective, right? What is the psychological operation intention of making us feel? What trance do they want us to be in to say fall for the spectacle of who this character is that is not in fact the reality of who this human being is? We're going to elude you through an expression like an actor. We're going to create all of this spectacle. Fall for it. Go into a trance of believing the illusion and not seeing the reality. And that is why we have a podcast called Break the Trance, because you need to see what's really going on. There's a reason that I'm sure dozens of people had to go through a process to say, all right, this is going to be the image of the President of the United States of America. Why would they approve that?
It's hard to know in a way, and because I don't think they've talked about it, but my guess would be that that is an intimidating person. It's meant to express power and intimidation.
But
And
here's why it doesn't make sense. We
right,
were not a vulnerable nation. If we had been Taiwan, okay,
right,
a country that
right,
was smaller, that had pressure coming in from all sides, people are trying to take over America, we're getting
right.
attacked. We need a leader who's going to say, you're not going to take us down. When he came into power, we were doing fine.
Yeah,
We're
I
doing
know.
great. We're the leaders of the free
Yeah,
world. So
yeah.
why would we want somebody who would make sense if we felt vulnerable, weak, or under attack to say, I'm going to be the leader who's going to go in and fight against our enemies? What enemies? We have enemies now because of this that we didn't have before.
You're right to point out that it doesn't make sense, that it's a kind of he's created this timeline that's a kind of crazy timeline where years ago people would have been like, how can anyone get away with this? How can the president do this? How can it be taken seriously? How can he be? Look, to be honest, throughout the world, Trump is not taken seriously. The only problem is that he has a massive military to back him up, or he has economic power to back him up. He is seen widely as a kind of clownish figure because of precisely these kinds of things. Now, but we're sort of more in the business of saying like, what does it do and how does it affect us? And I would say that it is meant to intimidate so that when you look at your money or you look at you're crossing the border and there's Trump scowling at you, you're meant to go like, yeah, this is a bit scary and maybe I'll turn around or something along those lines. But it is seriously weird. It is weird. And I'd say in a real hierarchy of powerful people, this guy would not rise to the top because it's all out of step with real power and real confidence.
Yep. Yep. I don't know what to do about all of that, but it is an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I'm glad that just we're able to sort of point out the strangeness. This is another fascinating phenomenon, and I probably should wrap up soon, but that the idea of these things hide in plain sight. Like Trump's official portrait is one of the weirdest things he has ever done in a litany of very weird things. It is very weird. And it is the thing that is everywhere. They put it on public buildings in Washington, D.C. It is everywhere.
Yeah, the psychology there is that this man said, you know what? I think I looked my best in my mugshot. Let's replicate that for my official presidency image. That
And
was the thinking there. It had to have been.
you know what that says? People have often noticed that people who have the inability to take criticism or hear other people's point of views, I think healthy people are often engaged in a little bit of interactive discussion about who they are with their friends, therapists, um, people they meet. There's feedback, and they would find out you look ridiculous. It's truly the emperor is wearing no clothes,
Yes.
because it's like there probably was somebody in there who said, "I don't know if this is a great great
You're
picture for me."
fired.
Yeah, that's right. What?
Done deal.
Or they're all like,
Praise
"Wow,
me or get out.
that's right. That's right." And that's how you get this.
That's how you
That's
get
how,
this.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
it's important. Unfortunately, I do believe that as a country, we have more mental unhealthiness, if not full on mental illness, than anything like mental health. And when I say mental health, I mean emotionally healthy, socially healthy, spiritually healthy, physically healthy, full on all elements of health. So when you say healthy people have this natural, have some degree of open-mindedness, where first of all, people feel comfortable to approach me because they know I'm receptive, and I trust that they have my best interest. Not everybody has everybody's best interest at heart, for sure. But if you live in a world where you think that people are against you and everybody out to get you and you can't trust anybody, you're already not in a healthy space. There are good people in the world, and if you can't find them, well, you're not one of them yet, but you can become healthier, and then you attract more healthy people to you. So you could say to me, listen, Cassandra, I got to tell you something. You might not like hearing it, but I care about you, and I want you to know the way you've been coming across on your social media lately, it's looking a little, are you okay? And I would say, shit, dude, thank you for asking. Honestly, I've been like under a lot of stress, and I guess it's coming through. What are you seeing? What exactly is looking so bad? And it might make me cringe at myself for a moment, but I have the fundamental belief that I am capable of evolving and changing for the better. And when,
and oh, sorry to interrupt. I was going to say, and you have previous experience with working with feedback, where you have obviously had feedback before, which you used, correctively or usefully to grow. And the
right,
difference is that this guy,
never, not one time in his whole life.
that's right. That's probably where we should.
I think not even once,
Yeah,
not as a child, not as an adolescent, not
that's
as a
right.
young man, not as a
That's right.
middle-aged man, and not as an
Yep.
old man.
Yeah. And so you reach escape velocity at some point where you are unable to get any feedback. You have no clue who you are, really. This person has no clue who they really are. They have a grandiose, and the difference between who they think they are and who they really are has become enormous. Like, for example, he's probably to a certain extent a monster, yet he thinks that he is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And yeah, I'm glad that you maybe think you feel good about yourself, but part of you, probably even Donald Trump, deep down knows the truth.
I don't think he does.
Right. I take that
I,
back. Maybe this is the case.
I don't think if you go deep down, go
There is
deep
no
enough,
deep down.
there is no deep down. It's a limitless black hole. I honestly think that the infant born had this potential, but he lived a very, very traumatizing young life, and the potential to have a spirit, I don't, somebody would have to kidnap him, bring him to the jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula, or bring him down to Peru and just feed him ayahuasca once a week for 6 months. And even then, I really don't know what the result would be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
think
know.
you can, I don't think some people are, unfortunately,
There's,
we're talking about an 80-year-old man.
yeah.
We're
Who
not turning the tables now. It's over.
And it's worked for him. It's worked for him to live in his illusion. And in fact, he is trying to actually, to summarize everything what we're saying is about the spectacle, is he is trying to force America to live in the same illusion that he lives in.
And enough people are doing it that
That he just might get away with it.
it's just enough to support it. Because
Yeah.
I know at this point, what is his approval rating? Like 30%? We
Yeah.
have an overwhelming majority of people who, and this is really not a red or a blue or a
Yeah.
Republican or a Democrat. This is just, are your eyes open? We have an 80-year-old man with an endless list of accusations of crimes against him. It's not even a short list. And a short list should be enough to say, you can't be president.
Yeah.
No one should have, you should be accused of zero crimes.
Yeah. That's a whole
Even if
other
you,
story.
even it's a whole other story. But I mean, come on, there are good people out there. We shouldn't have to work with this.
Yeah. Yeah. We shouldn't have to live in this movie, but here we are, and we get to hope that maybe there's something new coming down the pipe. But right now,
Break the trance of this spectacle.
that's right. On that note, thank
Don't
you for,
participate. Don't watch it.
yeah,
Don't cheer for it.
don't cheer for it for sure.
You,
And
you break the trance by looking away and focus your attention on something real.
yeah,
That might just be going within and meditating on what are my values.
yeah,
That's a great place to start.
hug your kids, pat your dog,
Take a
um,
walk.
take a walk.
Look at this. You know, I'm going to give you a little, I'm going to share something as a gift for you and for anybody watching. I've taken on a new practice. It's a kind of a mindfulness practice, but it's just something I like doing. And it is that every day I notice 5 clouds. I look in the sky and I try to find 5 shapes, right? Like, oh, that one looks like popcorn. That one kind of looks like a horse. I try to do that 5 times throughout the day because one, I realize I'm always here.
Mm,
And just looking at something far away is good for your vision as well as your mental health, how the eyes are programmed as part of your brain. We could do a whole hour on that. But there's something whimsical and childlike and innocent and beautiful in like, what shapes do you see in the clouds?
I imagine sort of like practicing wonder. You're just, yeah, I see. Yeah, that's a good, I like it. I might try that.
Yeah. Let me
Yeah.
know how good. You could send me a pic. We could send each other pictures of clouds. How cute would that be for our friendship? Hey, look at this
Yeah.
cloud I saw today. Chick, chick. We
Yeah.
want more of that and less going insane over what Donald Trump is doing. That's
Yeah.
how we restore mental, emotional, spiritual, social health from a grassroots level and start to reclaim a reality we want to live in.
I love it. On that note, thank you everyone for joining Break the Trance. We were hopefully helped you break the trance today. And yeah, the this, just to be fair, this Sunday is when the giant UFC fight takes place on the White House lawn, the spectacle. And we encourage you to stay awesome and uh, live a great life. Uh,
Yeah, to explore more of how hypnosis and hypnotherapy can help you with many different things that you might want some help with, understanding yourself better, thriving, feeling healthy, sleeping well, you can visit me at hypnotherapy.now, and you can find Albert at
hypnologist.net.
see you soon.